Hi, I'm ArchieLuxury and welcome to the program. Today I'd like to talk about briefcases, and many people have enjoyed my briefcase stories. The gangster and the briefcase, and the briefcase and the affair. So I'd like to talk about briefcases for a little bit longer, and we're in an interesting time. The briefcase is falling out of popularity, and Archie's been catching the train lately, and yeah, I know, public transport sucks. But I gotta tell you the truth, the number of briefcases I see on the train is falling. And it's a sad reflection on society. I really blame casual Fridays and the casualization of society. And the briefcase is just such a wonderful tool. I mean, I can remember my father going to work in the bank in the big city, and he'd always take his briefcase. He always had a briefcase. Now, I mean, what do you need a briefcase for? The laptop or the tablet PC has sort of killed that. And, what do you need to carry a briefcase for? I mean, your pornography is now on the computer. You're not buying the Playboy, the Penthouse, Black Label, or, the stick magazines like you were in the past. It's all porn on the computer. And so you don't need to hide it in a nice briefcase. You've, documents. I mean, even if you were, say, a wheeler and a dealer, a shaker, a mover and a shaker, say you bought and sold stocks and shares, well, they don't have certificates anymore. It's all traded in Australia on CHESS, the computerized transfer system. So, I mean, so many of these things are dying out, and it's just so sad to see the briefcase slither into oblivion. And that's what's happening. The briefcase is really slipping out. Even classic movies like Wall Street. You look at Wall Street in the late 80s with Michael Douglas. I mean, the briefcase, very popular type item there. And even British drama like, what was that program called? This Life, which was about the English law students who just started their career. The homosexual cast member, he proudly says he's bought a pig-skinned briefcase. And, what's happening now is the man bag has come in, the casualization. No more hard-cased briefcases. It's the soft-sided sort of sports bag, semi-casual sort of bag, and you don't really need a big fixed case. I mean, you're no longer carting porn around. You've got just soft snag, sensitive new age guy sort of shit inside your bag. You don't have, a stick magazine and a fucking a packet of condoms. The society's changed. It's so sad. The casualization of society, and it's all downhill. It's a downhill slope, and I don't know what to say. The casualization of society, it's one big fucking disaster in my opinion. I mean, look, some people would say, it's like the pocket watch. The pocket watch died off to the wristwatch. Okay, fair enough. Archie accepts that. But the briefcase, it's really quite sad that it is dying out. I mean, it's sort of like, women always have purses. For women, purses are still very, very popular. They always have a purse. They always got shit to cart around. But men, it's like these fucking wenches have been dictating to the men, oh no, you can't have a special case for your own. Oh no, what do you need that for? Well, men need fucking briefcases. They need to cart around stick magazines. They need to cart around, all sorts of men's sort of shit, like, how do they sneak stuff home without the wife knowing? This is where you need a good big briefcase. And, this is the problem. It's really quite bad. I've been taking public transport, and I can see on the train the number of briefcases, it's dwindling. And men are having these soft bags, trendy sort of men, they're wearing these fucking man bags. And I mean, fuck. What's going on? Why is the briefcase declining? It's so sad. And even you look at companies like Louis Vuitton, who's a design icon, and I love their products. You look at what's happened to their briefcases, and it's just a fucking disaster. The whole thing is, it's being casualized. They've stopped hard case. You know, they had the Diplomat. That's no longer available. They've very much casualized, and they're you know, that obviously they need to be on the bandwagon of fashion. I mean, fuck, you know, that we can't let sales fall. I mean, that's the most important thing, isn't it? We're a fucking business. So yeah, that's what's happening with briefcases. Very, very sad indeed. But with that note, on that note there, I'd like to tell some. I've got a story that I produced. This was quite a few years ago, and I think you guys would enjoy it. And this is a story I wrote quite a few years ago, and I posted it. I called it Louis Vuitton Quality, a Comparison, and I wrote this for a Louis Vuitton forum, but it's more of a briefcase story, and I'd like to read it to you guys here. And the subject is men's briefcases, and it's called a Quality Comparison. The sample pool consists of 3 hard case rectangular briefcases. The brands are Dunhill, Cartier and Louis Vuitton. Unfortunately, with the changes in fashion, the hard case briefcase has gone the way of the smoking pipe, the brick mobile phone and the pocket watch. Personally, I think a hard case briefcase is the ultimate in style and chic. Today, the soft briefcase has taken over in popularity. I suppose the briefcase has died as more and more people now carry a laptop, mobile phone, PDA. The briefcase is just too heavy when carrying these other objects. Personally, I've lusted after a top brand briefcase since I was in grade 7. I remember a story of a friend of mine when I was at school. His father drove a Triumph TR7 two-door sports car. It was orangey red. His dad was sophisticated and worldly. He had a mistress and, oh yes, a beautiful dark briefcase. The briefcase was later squashed by his jealous wife in a fit of rage. I remember the guy then got it expertly repaired. I don't know the brand or the cost, but it was just a beautiful handmade Italian briefcase. And that's a story I told in my on my ArchieLuxury channel. Ever since the mid-80s, same time as the above incident, Alfred Dunhill TV ads, I have wanted a Dunhill briefcase. I can still remember the ads with the camera zooming in on the beautiful Dunhill lock. It must be beautiful, it must be dependable, it must be the best of its kind. I purchased a mint Dunhill hardcase briefcase in the late 90s. The briefcase was from the mid-80s but was in new old stock condition. It came with its dust cover and the outside cardboard box. The Dunhill briefcase was made in Italy and was beautiful. Although it was technically perfect, I felt it was a bit flimsy for such an expensive item. Dunhill is a brand for English gentlemen. I enjoyed owning the briefcase, but it did not quench my desire for the perfect briefcase. I felt the inside mechanism was a bit off the shelf. The timber frame for the briefcase did not seem too strong, so I was always afraid it would get damaged if overloaded. I sold this briefcase and unfortunately I do not have any pictures of the said item. In my mind, Mr. Dunhill briefcase would be driving a Lotus Esprit sports car, Richard Gere, pretty woman type. He would be worldly yet compassionate. I would give this briefcase the following points. Number 1, image, 8 out of 10. Number 2, quality, 8.5 out of 10. Number 3, usability, 7 out of 10. Overall, 8 out of 10. I then purchased a Cartier briefcase from the mid-70s. Although this item was extremely expensive new, it was in average poor condition. Unfortunately, the previous owner tried to restain it unprofessionally. please excuse the botched home repair job. Please just look at this briefcase for the craftsmanship, the image, and the quality of the Cartier brand. Excusing the condition, I feel this is a well-made item. It is, however, very 1970s. With a rectangular briefcase, whilst a rectangular briefcase is dated, the briefcase is dated even worse, 1975. The gold-plated edge clips on the top panel are certainly not helping in aging this item. I suppose these edge clips are the equivalent of a sports car having a vinyl roof. Very smart at the time, but hideous now. The Cartier briefcase certainly is special. The handle has special Cartier C-clips to hold it in place. Even the name tag is like a Cartier watch strap buckle. A proud C logo on the top panel tells the public, yes, this man is important. Inside the case, the equipment is pure Cartier. A gold plaque tells people this is a very expensive item. And with this briefcase here, it's just ignore the home botch repair job on it, but it was quite a beautiful item in its day. This briefcase is heavier than the Dunhill, but not perfect. It is a classy briefcase, but not a perfect solution. I tried to get this briefcase restored, but all repairers were scared of it when I told them what a Cartier briefcase costs when new. Mr. Cartier would be driving a mustard yellow 350 SLC Coupe Mercedes-Benz with the baby poo brown interior. Unfortunately, the briefcase has dated as much as his Mercedes. Please note I did say 350 SLC and not the more desirable 350 SL. Mr. Cartier unfortunately made the wrong choice again. Oh well, at least his mistress was French. Mr. Cartier is not as compassionate as Mr. Dunhill. Mr. Cartier is always looking for a deal, and what's in it for him. I would give his briefcase the following points. Image, 9.5. Quality, 8. Usability, 8. Overall, a 9 out of 10. The final comparison, the Louis Vuitton Diplomat. I purchased this briefcase very recently. This is when I wrote the article. I am still deeply in love with this item. My briefcase is from 1997 and is in 8 out of 10 condition. I love the colour, rich burgundy. I love absolutely everything about it. The Louis Vuitton Diplomat is the pinnacle of my collection. I finally have a hard case Louis Vuitton item. The quality of this item is simply amazing. It is a period piece in time, like an item made in the 20s. It is the heaviest of the lot. In fact, it is too damn heavy. It's the only case with proper brassware, not plated crap. Proper brass blocks, buckles and feet. This is a no expense spared item. The handle is simple French. It is old but fashioned, but still super modern. It is the best of the lot. The finish, workmanship is simply amazing. The Louis Vuitton Diplomat has unfortunately been dropped from the Louis Vuitton range. Louis Vuitton still produces the slightly larger Louis Vuitton President. In my opinion, the Diplomat is a much more usable case. The President is simply over the top. I believe the Louis Vuitton Diplomat was killed because of two factors. One, people today want soft luggage bags. Two, the Diplomat in Tiger was too expensive. Today, Louis Vuitton sells a Louis Vuitton President in Tiger for about $10,000. The Diplomat would have been a few grand cheaper, say $7,000. The Louis Vuitton President in monogram is $5,500. Why would you buy a Diplomat in Tiger when you could have a President in monogram for a few grand cheaper still? That is the dilemma facing Louis Vuitton, hence the reason the axe fell on the Diplomat. The Louis Vuitton President is 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch larger in all directions. The President also has the better key and lock system. The lock is the same as the trunk locks, whilst the Diplomat has the lock from the software leather range. Personally, I want a President. However, I am content with the Diplomat. In some ways, the Diplomat is better or more usable, slightly smaller, less ostentatious. Mr. Louis Vuitton Diplomat would drive a range of cars, from a classic 280 SL Pagoda Mercedes to a new 3 Series BMW. Mercedes C, E or S class. Mr. LV Diplomat would probably be wearing a large steel sports watch. Think Breitling, Navitimer, Panerai, or even a two-tone Rolex Submariner. I am sorry to say, but Mr. Louis Vuitton Diplomat has a thing for escort services and is probably not a really nice guy. The mistress is by the hour and the world revolves around his ego. I would give his briefcase the following points. Image 9.9, quality 10, usability 8, overall 9 out of 10. And that concludes my talk on briefcases. I'm Archie Luxury. Tell me what you think.